Up, connection, here we go, and we're live. Happy Tuesday, May 22nd, second show. Let us know you can hear us or see us. I was super excited. This was not on the original agenda, of course, but Miranda Cady, who is the beautiful lady in between Tony and I, she is, if nothing but beautiful and convincing, and has a heart for so many things.
Yes.
And so she tagged me in a post.
Controversial. Well,
controversial. Was it
one.
controversial? I didn't feel like it was controversial. You guys did great. So let us know you can hear us or see us. Hey Fred. Hey Corinne. How you guys doing? Hey everybody over here. Cool dude. The thing I love about Up Live, since this is your new thing, is you can see how quickly people pick up. We've got 20 people watching. You can see all of that. And then, of course, we're never going to leave our Facebook Live people.
Never.
So,
and with all the new technology you have going on,
I'm so confused. It's the absolute most crazy thing. Earlier today with the YouTube thing going, I'm like, I don't know where to look, so that's where we look.
So,
all right, so.
Before we segue into today's conversation, which, yes, I did bring to the table, and I cannot wait to talk about Tony. I'm very passionate about the subject, and you'll find out more in a minute. But Ted, you posted a video recently, was it Monday, about giving and knowing your worth and
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So accountability with that. And I was so moved during that video. I think you got all the hearts everywhere.
I got lots of great hearts.
All the feels.
We have a great group of people that we all hang out with.
Yeah.
That people
Orlando's
support
a
what we're
great
doing.
city. Yeah, and what you're bringing to the table is so beneficial, because if I have a question about what someone's doing, we don't all have time to check up on everyone and see what they're doing behind the scenes. I can go on the TED Show, and I know you've said some people binge watch.
They
episodes.
do. They binge watch.
So,
I love that. I absolutely love that. I think it's amazing.
I'm blessed. This is my third time on the TED Show.
That's right.
And that being said, I knew instantaneously when you were speaking that I had a gift I wanted to give to you. Now, Freck, don't get on me. We're not in collaboration. Ted's never financed any of my deals. He's never given me business. I see the value in what Ted does and the value that it brings to my real estate business. Most of my referrals come from other states, Connecticut, Minnesota. And so when they see me on the TED Show, there's a level of intimacy that's bonded that I couldn't create otherwise.
Very good, that's right. I never even thought about
absolutely.
that.
I've gotten
God,
referrals.
I'm so glad.
So the biggest thing for me is that there's a reciprocation and a benefit to this. And I have a gift for you that I'm going to give you on Friday.
Okay.
And because I've closed 3 deals since my first TED Show very recently.
All right,
that were decent.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, I loved it. I love it when you close deals.
But that's not what this topic is about, and I don't want to take up too much time. But I want you to know that on Friday, I'm giving Ted a gift. I'm not throwing you $100 bills here on camera because I think that's tacky. But I am giving you, I've made myself a commitment. It's kind of like tithing to the TED Show. Every closing I do, you're going to get $100 from me.
Oh my gosh. No, that's a total surprise. You're going to make me cry. Don't make me cry.
In addition to that, on Friday, because I've closed 3 deals in the last few weeks because of you. Well, not because, but because I have this opportunity. I'm giving you $300.
Oh my gosh, did you? That is so, oh my God, I'm gonna cry. All right, we can cry. Where's my makeup person?
I want that to be $3,000. I want that to be $30,000.
So
let's go. But when Orlando grows together, we all benefit. We benefit every industry, and I think Tony can relate to that.
Yeah, you take care of those who have a heart for you. You give the heart to them.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, how am I supposed to get through this
So.
show without crying?
But really, that's the premise of what we're talking about today: is loving, understanding, being accepting, and helping us move forward as a society. Because this is America, right? I'm here to write a better narrative for what America is going to be, what we can be, what we will be. Because let's stop focusing on what we maybe are today. Let's stop focusing on what we were in the past. And you might be looking at a white American woman here going, what the hell, excuse my language, what the heck does she know about our society?
We've heard worse, so you're good.
And the reason that this is such a passionate topic for me, and the reason I
They don't know the topic yet. They only know the bits and pieces.
Okay.
Let me
Tony,
give me 1 or 2 shout outs before you guys go.
Okay.
Cool dude over here said, can you give me a shout out? You know I can. Cool dude. Miranda gives you a shout out. Tony gives you a shout out. And we love you guys.
Shout out to
Monica Garcia, we love you. Cool dude, come on anytime. I thought that was my hashtag. Apparently you have it. But that, first of all, thank you before you dive.
you're welcome.
That is so, what a blessing.
I love what you do, and I think more people. I challenge everyone out there to come and give Ted $100 every time you come on a show, if not 1,000 or 10,000.
There you go.
Come on, do it.
I'm gonna cry.
You get what you asked for.
You're gonna get a phone call from my wife in about 5.3 seconds and go, "Oh my God, I love you, Miranda."
But no, this show brings so much benefit to our community,
Nice.
and we have a big hotel possibly coming in because of it also.
Thank you. All right, so you reached out to me. You did a post. You were super passionate about it. You tagged me in it, and then we had a conversation. It was your idea. I can take no credit for this. Your idea. Let's talk about it. This would be a great platform for the show because the show is about having a platform that you normally don't have access to, a platform where you are in an environment where you're going to be treated with respect regardless, as long as you're respectful, we're respectful. So I loved what you were talking about, but they don't have really any idea because I titled the show, This is America.
Yeah.
Right, so there's a lot of stuff going on. That title itself, if you have not been under a rock, you understand what that title means.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that we're going to have a conversation about it in an open dialogue. So explain to them, flashcard it down, what's happening. And this is Tony Tate.
I'm going to hand it over to Tony Tate.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Tony's going to
Right,
explain a little
Tony.
bit.
Okay,
because-
so interesting. Yeah, no pressure. No, there is a video by a gentleman we all know. His name is Childish Gambino. He's playing Hans. He's playing Lando Calrissian in the Star Wars movie. It's been on SNL. Depending on what you like, whether you like Atlanta and Redbone, or whether you like, some of the other stuff that he's been in.
Actor, singer, phenomenal young man.
Absolutely,
He really is.
And he made a video about a song. Probably has about maybe 6 or 7 different lines in the whole song. But the video, and when you see it being graphically represented in the video, it talks about there's so many hidden meanings. And yet the video, we can see a cat playing the piano 2,000 times pop up in our newsfeed. But this particular video, last time I checked, you have to go to Google to verify this, but it was 169 million views. And the only time it ever appeared in my timeline is when Miranda tagged me in it. And,
Wow.
And it's because of the message. There's some Jim Crow symbolism in there. There is some, not even just Jim Crow, but there's a lot of things about how the country was made and built, society itself, how they beat certain people down, and then yet they try to distract us by entertaining us with the media as opposed to actually not really the way to silence all of the chaos that's going on in the background. If you watch the video, you'll see what it is. You see him entertaining you center stage, if you will, but then there's so much violence going on around him where he is actually embodying, or he is portraying himself as America in the video. And there's a few lines that I think is just amazing.
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
I think, Tony, you did a great job recapping that. I couldn't have been as eloquent. And I think that's really what grabbed my attention, is not only do you have a young man bold enough to go on and do his music video on a super edgy topic today in America, but he did it with art, style, class, and taste. He put so much into that. If you just love choreography, if you love music, if you love dance, there's so much that he packed into every single moment of that video. So if only for that reason, it should be shared all over social media.
But why do you think it had such an impact? Why was it so, like, for example, and I'll ask both of you, why did you see the video and go, I am so moved? Because I think a lot of people, they hear about it, and if you're at a certain age group, which neither of you are, you go, what is this is America? I mean, what is happening? What's hip hop mean? They don't understand why he has no shirt on and he's in a warehouse, right? So they don't have any understanding. So, but when you watched the video, when you were first introduced to it, what was your initial reaction?
You go first.
I will. Actually, I'm going to give a little bit of preface because this is where I become a hypocrite. And if you want to judge me on this one point, God bless you, go ahead and
It's
do
a
it.
no judge zone.
No, judge away. Because I know a lot of people who love the movie Deadpool, a Marvel video.
Right.
And my boyfriend will laugh and attest to this. I went into Deadpool, watched the first few, I don't think I was in that movie theater 5 minutes. The guy gets shot in the head. I was horrifically, I stood up out of my chair, I stood up in front of the movie theater and told them all they needed to rethink their concept of what is acceptable in our society, and they all just needed to get a reality check. I did that. It was embarrassing. And I did that because I believe in holding our culture accountable every moment.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Absolutely.
But this video had the exact same scene in the opening segment, and I was hooked. Why? Because my heart cried out with love. Of all things I felt during watching this music video, love was the predominant factor. Why? My brother-in-law is from Liberia, and my sister has requested specifically that I don't talk a lot about their family because he's a very private gentleman.
Sure.
But my niece, my two nieces and my nephew are half Liberian, American now. He's a citizen. But this gentleman is a stand-up citizen inside of our society, and I hate that I have to preface that. I hate that I have to tell people his credentials so that they'll accept him. I hate that we live in a society where that's a necessity.
What did you have to credential him? Because he's from Liberia? Is that what?
Because his skin is black. Can I say that? His skin is black. He is dark as night. He's a gorgeous man, inside and out. We have an inside joke inside of our family, and I'm sure you'll hear comments about this, that it's probably, he makes Carlton from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air look ghetto. Like that's how. So my.
Man, I was worried about wearing the Argyle sweater.
I'm sorry, guys. But, you know, let's have these conversations. This is what I'm talking about. Why did this video never pop up in my newsfeed? Why?
Yeah.
I get probably on average 60 to 90 likes on any given thing I post out of my garden. I post a comment about this. This is America and the Childish Gambino video. Nothing. 6 likes. Six.
Why do you think that is? Do you think it's because we're ignorant, or is it because you think that your particular demographic just said, that looks like a video I don't want to watch? I mean, do you really think that it boils down to the race, for example, or because we don't want to deal with what he's trying to represent? I mean, is it all pure evil about people not liking it, I guess?
I would say there's probably politicized, and there's a great deal of censorship there. So here's the thing. Let's say you post a picture of something on your Facebook wall. Now, it may not be outright vulgarity, it may not be outright nudity, it may not be outright hate speech, but if enough of your friends anonymously report that video or report that, it's already encoded. It has an alphanumeric string characters about this long, and if it matches up, it gets beat down in the algorithm. It gets beat down where it may not be overtly whatever, it may get beat down. So as long and the only way that it gets completely removed from Facebook is if there is a call to action where someone may be trying to sell you or recruit you for, whether it's a resurgence of a Black Panther movement or a white, or the Klan movement, whatever it is. As long as it's not something that's trying to engender financial support, it may not be removed from Facebook. So either your friends that are watching it or the people that are watching it have reported this enough to where it gets beat down with the algorithm to where it's not being shown. I mean, and it's a real thing. I don't think that everybody should take someone else's life or anything, but if you think about it, a few months ago, I may have been only a month ago, with a lady who went outside the studios with YouTube because she discovered that her video, she thought YouTube was purposely beating down her video, and so she, I can't think of her name, but I believe she was of Asian descent. She kind of, had, shot some people, whatever, near YouTube. So that is definitely it. There is that narrative that is there. If people don't like it, you're gonna have. We only know about our people as much as we know about them, as much as they show us. And so, if we were to see inside of people's hearts, we would know a little bit more about who they are and what they're made up of, instead of finding out who they were after they've said or done something to either embarrass us or make us kind of rethink our circle and how we want to be known as.
So I want to talk a lot about the video because it's a powerful video, but I want to tell you that at first glance, let's say I knew nothing about the history of it. I'm just going to think it's another dance video and people are in there and they're in a warehouse and he's got his shirt off. Honestly, if you don't understand where that's coming from, yes. So I think that maybe there's some ignorance about it. Now, because it's gone so viral, people are really paying attention to it. But there are so many videos that go on, so many things that are put out there that I think the general populace, no matter what, they're you're like, okay, well, it's another video. I don't know what it means, but there is so much of a dynamic there. But that's about education, right? That's
right.
I think that's what's so important, and that's why we're here today, is we're trying to cross a different platform. Let's just pretend for a second that it's a Facebook algorithm. I don't know. I'm not in the Facebook headquarters. I don't know how they populate our news feeds, and I'm not going to pretend to. But let's pretend that that's what it is. This video today should cross that boundary. And this video should reach an audience that, my typical post on Facebook gets 90 likes. This got 6. We already talked about that. But really, I had probably 5 or 6 people, Tony, you might be right, tell me that I really wanted to like that Miranda, but I couldn't. I couldn't because of my job. I couldn't because of my social circle. I couldn't because of my religious affiliations. That is an issue to me.
So let me ask you why.
Yeah,
why would they not be able to like it? What about the video in their circle would make it so that they can't like it? What is it? I mean, I loved the message. I think that you have to, for me, I had to watch it multiple times to really catch a lot. I'm sure there's more I could catch. But there's nothing in my circle or my circle of friends that would impact me so much that I wouldn't want to like the video.
And I think you said it. A lot of us, so what I'm getting ready to say, the views and opinions expressed by me do not necessarily reflect that of the TED Show, TED or Miranda Cady.
Oh God, here we go.
So here's the thing, you are who you hang around with, okay? And for whatever reason, whether that's you are who you hang around with financially because of who you hang out with your financial circles, you are in your private circles and any other circle. So if someone can't like that because somewhere they're connected to somebody in their work that they know might think that they should bring back Jim Crow, or they might think that the messaging about how the red states are the ones that the gun control violence. That's why both times when he took the firearms away from him, it was wrapped in a red cloth, and so maybe because of the red cloth signified the red states and gun control, how they were always trying to clean up everything.
The
in gun control.
respect that he treated the gun with
Exactly.
was very symbolic.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you've got people like, well, they're it's making a reference. How can you not see the people in Charleston, that were gunned down, that choir that was gunned down in the church in Charleston? How can you not notice that the pants that he's wearing are very symbolic of the Confederate pants that they wore in the Confederate War, and people how they still thought maybe the South should run. So people that are still wanting to see the Confederate flag, not being portrayed like that. They don't want to see it in those circles. So if the people who say they want to like it and they can't like it, it's because they're in an uncomfortable position with where their income and or their livelihood is tied to what people think about them.
Absolutely.
So I have a question. I really am the one. I think I'm the one at the end that's going to ask the questions that I think a lot of people don't get, right? Because you all are so much more advanced on this, and I mean that in a really positive way. Like, I feel bad that I don't know enough, but what I want to do, I always tell people to dumb it down, educate. Flashcard it. So I know you're going to maybe laugh about this, Tony, in a very uncomfortable way, but explain to people, you've referenced Jim Crow 4 times. What does that mean?
Okay, so there was a time in our history where they didn't really want a lot of people who have, appear to be black, whether you're from Africa or you're black and you're just a really, really dark-skinned person from, Mexico or Puerto Rico. They didn't want that in film. So whether it was Julie Garland in blackface or whether it was someone else, there's a lot of caricatures, Jim Crow caricatures, that were obviously, even in the caricature, they were white people or people of Caucasian descent that were made up in blackface. And so that, because they wanted to be able to depict black people in film, but they didn't want to pay them for it, and they didn't want to actually have them anywhere on it because of whatever reasons, and the list could be as long as my arm, as the reasons why they didn't actually just want a black person in there, in the video. So then there were laws, and anybody, if just Google Jim Crow laws.
You need to really Google Jim Crow, honestly.
Some of the stuff is kind of ridiculous, but...
And then the red states. So listen, I understand it. But I think a lot of people hear that on the news. Remember, there is an entire group of a lot of people, and I don't care what age group they're in, when they hear the word red state, they have absolutely no idea what people are talking about. So we assume people are super intelligent.
I got this one.
You got this one?
I got
this one. No. I think it's important for them to understand what you're referencing.
So, a couple of points there. I grew up in a blue state. Maybe people from a blue state know what that means. Maybe they don't. Minnesota is known as a very democratic, very liberal state, very accepting in most areas. And Minnesota nice, right? Throw that out.
I love that term.
Minnesota
Me
nice.
too.
Some
Minnesota
of them
nice.
are horrible. You go up there, it's negative 20 degrees. They will cut your hand off if you they're vicious. They're Viking blood. No, but really what you need to understand is, so realistically, Democrats are considered blue, Republicans are considered red, and because of this political polarization that we have currently in our society, which again I don't agree with, because I have friends on both sides that I agree with and disagree with on certain topics.
Absolutely.
I think we need to change that narrative as a society and kind of bridge some of those gaps as far as how we define things. Lady Gaga posted a video and she's sitting there, you know, bless it. I'm going to share this actually as a comment in here because this is really what I'm speaking to today, is that we love all people, we get rid of labels, we start thinking about the future, what America is, we start accepting everyone for who they are, and we treat everyone like a person. And maybe this is me coming from my affluent real estate background
From Minnesota
and
nice.
my Minnesota nice, and helping out with some affordable housing issues. I don't care if it's socioeconomic, I don't care if it's skin color, I don't care if it's neighborhood that you reside in, I don't care what. Start treating your grocery store clerk with respect. Start treating the gas station attendant with respect. That's when you're going to start to notice changes in our culture and our society. You want to stop shooting people? Start saying hello to the person sitting next to you. Shake their hand, have a conversation. This is what leads to dynamic shifts in cities, in towns, in neighborhoods, in counties, and that makes America better. This is America when we can all treat each other with respect, reach over those boundaries and guidelines. That's not altruistic. That's just what we need to do.
Why is it so hard for people to do it, though?
The reason why, I think, sorry about that, Ted.
No, please, go.
The reason why is because, again, I'll reiterate my disclaimer earlier, but I think the problem is because we want to always refer to someone as something else before they're American. We always want to say Asian American. We always want to say African American. I refer to myself as American Black, although I know that everyone sees me, they see me as, they want to use the term African American because they don't want to offend me by saying Black. You know, I'm kind of a mutt. I was born.
I always call them intelligent Bitcoin.
I was born in South Carolina. It was definitely, and I say that I'm proud of where I'm from, but I'm also embarrassed of where I'm from, in the sense of how the history of South Carolina being one of the first states to secede. You know, and I don't want to get into the whole Confederate thing because my reasons aren't race related. I'm actually a veteran of 24 years in the United States Army.
Oh, thanks for your service.
Thank you for the support.
Amazing.
But so my views are my views alone. I know what it's like to actually, you know, to see things engage. And my whole issue was, you know, as far as, and I won't get into this whole Confederate, you know, South and all this other kind of stuff. But there's a lot of things that you know, if we can get to a place where we stop having to have a Women's History Month or a Native American History Month, a Black History Month. I don't like those months, and the reason I don't like those months is because women's history, Black history, Native American history, it's American history. Yes. This country is only 240 something years old.
I love it.
That's it. And when we can stop looking at, you know, a reason to divide yourself from someone as opposed to a reason to engender yourself and engender the graces of someone, I think that's where we start. I don't refer to people as white guys or that chick or that woman. You know, well, first of all, have respect. I'm not gonna call it. I'm gonna say that lady. You know, I don't care who you are. I care about your makeup. I see hearts. I see souls. So for me, I'm not ignorant to what I see, or I'm not even surprised at some of the stuff that comes out of people's mouths. Even today, sitting across the table with people, you know, whether it's, you know, in a real estate transaction where there's millions of dollars at stake, you know, or, you know, a couple $1,000s at stake over a particular negotiation, it has no place. When it has a place in our wallets, it's going to always have a place in our hearts, because even in the Bible it says a man's heart is where he lays his treasure. And so whether it's because, you know, you have an agenda that you want to make known, or you have an agenda or just a bias from the way you were raised, it's going to come out.
So I got a question for you. I'm going to take a big risk here because I get asked this question a lot, and I hope that you guys know it's coming from the heart. This is so you have. We were just having this conversation. Tony, you might have been part of it, but earlier I refer to my black friends as black, for example, and I get corrected a lot. I'm African American, and I'm this, and so there's this interesting stigma across all of it. But so if we're trying to, and I agree with you, if we're trying to negate, like we've got Black History Month, we've got Hispanic History Month, we've got Women's History Month, from the white, I hate the word white, but let's say the white. If we had a white American History Month,
how would that?
So the response to that, I've had two, right? Because I bring it up, right? The first one is every day's a white American History Month, right? Because you guys are in charge, you're the majority. But what it does is, you're right, there's this separation that it creates. And so I don't know why we have to have that, why we can't just celebrate being Americans, is what you're saying. The problem is you have people in the majority who don't know enough or aren't interested enough. And so I understand sort of the thought process of, let's celebrate Harriet Tubman, let's celebrate Martin Luther King Jr., let's celebrate some of the black leaders that have helped shape this country. It's just that right now we are in this weird void of everybody is just up in arms about anything. And so now we have a let's celebrate the person with a blue streak in her hair month. And so it takes away from all of it, and then we become more separatists instead of being together.
So I would like to see, if we're going to have a month, let's do it that we can, for something we can all get behind. I'm okay with like, for example, one of the charities that I support, happens to do with cancer. I'm okay with us having a cancer awareness month.
Me too.
Because the thing about it, when you start giving someone, again, like I'll just say what I said before. If somebody refers to themselves as, African American, that's fine. I have to be careful because I don't want to get into a place where races, the whole classification of races that happened around the 1500s, or even, I just look like this, I'm actually kind of smart, that actually get into this, because you've got to know, because history is written by the winners. You understand that? Because if you were to speak to someone who's Native American, who has kept in contact with their heritage, they have a much different picture on how Captain John Smith and Pocahontas' relationship went, the real estate transaction that we know now as, exactly, the real estate transaction that we now know as Manhattan, okay, right. How that went down. They have a much different story, but again, history is written by the winners, because my family has a very big, because I'm part Native American, I'm American Black, I'm also, of Caribbean origin, whether that's part Jamaican, also Dominican, so we have what's been told how it doesn't match up, and now you see these National Geographic, all of a sudden, was this really the case, whatever, like, it was no secret to me growing up in South Carolina that Strom Thurmond, they used to call Old Hickory, who was a verbal, Klans member, and that's public knowledge. I'm not bashing anybody. If you have me related to them, I'm sorry, but that he had a mistress who had a lot of black children. We knew that. It was not news to us. It was only news, in Congress and in the Senate. Like, he what? And and all of these different things that were going on, because when he died, there was a lot of land that helped make I-95, I-20, and I-26 that belonged to that family, and somebody got a piece of that.
Didn't he also have a black daughter?
He did, yeah. He fathered children. He was so he was overtly racist, and
makes me insane.
it seemed like in this country we only have a problem with racism, but we don't have a problem with ageism. We don't have a problem with, anything that you can put a label on where somebody's different than you that you can elevate yourself to. That's where the issue comes into play.
Let's revert this back for just a second, because I love what Tony's saying and I love what Ted brought to the table. But for one moment, why has no one in this room put a gun to my head? My predominant origin is German. Like, you want someone to be mad at? Like, I feel like that's a great candidate. Like, why are we defining ourselves by our past? I think, as Tony suggested, if we move forward with the narrative that we are all who we are today, not defined by the past, with the opportunity to do anything in the future, regardless of skin color, regardless of origin. My grandmother, my great-grandmother was Native American. They burned her birth certificate out of shame when she was adopted because they didn't want anyone to know where she came from.
Right.
Mine too. My great-grandmother was a terrible, horrible term, but back in the day in New York, she was called a Jackson White. And so if you Google that, she is, my great-grandmother was mostly black. And so they got rid of her birth. Thank God they kept an original in the archives, or I would have never known. But but I feel like we have made some progress. I mean, we're a little better than we used to be, but we have so much more. And I think that's what Childish Gambino's video is about. Is that
it's
all right?
challenge.
So we
I feel
still,
like it's a challenge.
it's a challenge for us to really. Okay, now we're talking about it again. Let's talk more about it.
So that was really the idea when I watched the video, and I just, my heart melted in love. And I know some stories of my brother-in-law getting shoved down in the snow in a snowbank outside of Chicago. He's going to the University of Chicago, and the man has his master's degree. He has an additional certificate on top of that from the University of Chicago. He's a brilliant man. He financed Redbox.
Wow.
He set up one of his first transactions outside of college was financing Redbox. This guy takes him to a warehouse outside in a Chicago suburb, lifts up the gate, pitches him the day. At first he's like, what? Metal boxes in a trailer. That's what pitch. And he wrote that. But you know what I hate? I hate that I have to tell people his credentials before I talk about him as a human being. And maybe that's my misconception. Maybe that's something I want to change that narrative going forward, because I don't want my nieces or my nephew to grow up in a society where they're afraid of getting pulled over by the police on the side of the road. Colney Smith posted a great video the other day of a friend that got
Oh my
pulled
God!
over.
I reached out to him and invited him to the show.
God bless it. Like I mean, there are so many things happening. I feel like the video has a great place and time. I don't think it's inappropriate. I think it really calls out a lot of things that need to be addressed. I think it's a call to action to change society, and I think we're going to be better if we embrace it and utilize it as an opportunity to celebrate advancements in what we're doing. And in Orlando right now, you'll have to excuse me.
She's got to have a glass of that wine, people.
Well, my mouth is dry. It's been a long day of business, forgive me. But essentially what I'm trying to get to is that Orlando right now, we are at a catalytic moment of opportunity. There are so many things going on in the business sector, the private sector, nonprofits, with the faith organizations. We have the opportunity to change the narrative, at least for Orlando.
I think the bigger, I won't say the bigger, because I guess it depends on who you are, as far as, because size it ultimately is relative. I think we have to learn from the mistakes of our forefathers and ancestors, and that's on both sides of the fence. Because there's a word that in Native American, and I can't translate it. My grandmother, and there's pictures of that, it actually came up. It's funny that I was coming here today because as a Facebook memory, I have a picture of her. She's 100% Native American. It came up where she was in the hospital. But there is a word in Native American that translates to colonizers. And basically, we can assimilate that to bullies. You know, lands are conquered. You know, you can say what you want about Christopher Columbus. You can say what you want about the Jamestown colonies. You can say what you want about, you know, how they basically came over to America, pushed the Native Americans off their soil, said we're going to start a country here. We're going to fight. Now that even goes back into biblical times, because country is known as Syria, now is known as Persia. So it isn't just a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant thing. It isn't just the Angles and the Saxons that came from Germany that went and settled, you know, what we know now as the UK. That's why people are called a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, because they came from the whole German Reformation and Martin Luther and all those kind of things. But when you go to another society, you don't incorporate what's already there, then you're referred to as a colonizer, and that is a very, very, very dirty word. But it basically means it carries exploitation. It carries complete wiping out of a society to implant your own. So what we have to learn from that. We can't do that anymore because of just the technology of the world. But we have to understand that, you know, when you we should be building bridges to understand the other side, as opposed to keeping out the other side. And I think that's what it is. You know, I don't think, you know, I like I said, I know how I'm looked at But I try to see a person's heart and a soul. I don't have, any of that at all. But I do know what it was like being, walking home in middle school, late from basketball practice and having a police officer basically rip my book bag to shreds and tell me, have a good day and get home. And I get in trouble from my mom. I can't tell my mom that a police officer ripped up my book bag because she's going to say that I was somewhere that I had no business being or whatever. And there's so much more things like that. Those stories happen. I'm in my late 40s, so I understand where all of this comes from, even the inception of hip hop. So I get it, and when I say I get it, I mean I get it. And what we have to do is not in a hippy dippy kind of way, although there's nothing wrong with that, but. We do have to love one another because you can't hate something Amen. That you love. Amen. And even in the Bible it says, love your neighbor as yourself. And if you love your neighbor as yourself, you're not gonna do things. I mean, obviously people have issues, medical issues, but you're not gonna do something to somebody else if you're looking at someone else as an extension of who you are.
My dream is that in America, no child, no collegiate men, white or black, gets shoved down in a snowbank going to the pharmacy to get a prescription with a blazing fever because he looks like a person that just committed a crime at a convenience store. I want the world to change. I want our city to change. And I don't think that's an unrealistic expectation. I know enough people here in Orlando taking action and doing things and advocating for the programs they're passionate about. I think it's time to draw a better picture, to draw a better vision, to paint something for society to see. If Orlando is the example for the nation and the globe on how to have just a civilized society that's focused on health, wellness, technology, education, and F the rest of it. I'm not going to curse, but F the rest of it. Whatever skin color, whatever point of origin, socioeconomically, let's stop. Let's stop judging people by those things and start writing a new narrative.
All right, so we're at the end of our rainbow just
Already?
For this one time.
Where's the pot of gold? Ted?
So there's got to be a pot of gold.
There's got to be a pot of gold.
There's got to be. We're going to do it after we get signed off and have another glass of wine. That's my pot of gold right there. I'm so thankful for you reaching out and allowing the TED Show to be part of that.
Thank you.
We need to continue to have these discussions that are out loud, and I want to give a shout out, a mutual friend of mine, well, probably all of ours, Vanessa Eccles, is doing an entire show on race, a podcast. And so we had this long discussion quite a while back, and she's bringing it to fruition. And I think that we have to have these intelligent, non-threatening, non-screaming, non-accusatory discussions so that everybody can be heard, and let's try to figure out where the commonality is. And so I'm so thankful you came to me.
Thank you.
Because I love these topics. It's about love, people. It's about love. And so if you can make that number one, the rest of it kind of falls into place.
Ted's wrapping up, but I definitely want to leave it. If anyone has a soul for this conversation topic or wants to take action in different realms, Vanessa Eccles should actually be your first point of contact. She reached out to me and definitely wanted to host a conversation on this, and she is well deserving. I love her social media posts. I follow them regularly. You'll see all the hearts and all the love for her. That woman is proud to speak loudly about the things she's passionate about, and God bless her.
All right, and John Wilde said a couple of funny things, but his last comment, John Wilde's super smart, radio show, that damn radio show, which he's bringing back, which is awesome. This was a very important show, needs a full hour, and call in.
Yeah.
I'm in agreement.
Call in
with you.
is huge.
We're going to do that. We're going to figure that out.
We can do a repeat.
Love you guys so much for being on here.
Thank you
Thanks for having us,
you guys. Mwah, we love you. And I want to tell you, this week's shows are sponsored by my very good friend who popped on and did a lot of smileys and hearts, Ray Ortega with Grata Software. We love you, Ray. Thank you so much for being behind it. You guys, will see you later. Have a great one. Love you.
Later.